Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's jump straight into it because we've got loads to go through, loads of talk regarding Victor Gyokeres to bring you up to date with. Osimhen, is he back on the agenda? Garnacho and Hojlund exit news, the Mbeumo latest, and links with Chevalier. All coming up, so let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with a story from The Guardian saying that after Bryan Mbeumo, Manchester United still want to sign a striker, a centre midfielder, and a goalkeeper. Now, that is music to my ears because I get your concerns from comments on previous videos about the midfield. I do think that is a priority. And the goalkeeper, I also think that is a priority as well. For me, though, personally, we'll all have different preferences on this, right? And we can argue amongst ourselves in the comments. The attack is the biggest issue. We've lost more games this season because we can't score goals than we have because of the midfield and the goalkeeper, in my opinion. So being able to score goals, I get why the club have seen that as a priority, and I agree with that. And then we can argue amongst ourselves who we should be going for after that, because I think a midfielder is a priority and a goalkeeper should be as well. But it's encouraging for me to hear from a good source as well. The Guardian are a good kind of source of information as well, that they are the positions that we are looking to strengthen as well. Who we're going to go for, how we're going to fund it, who knows? The midfield is one where there's very few links with actual midfielders. So that's one that, I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out as we go through the transfer window. There's some goalkeeper updates I'm going to bring you later on in the video as well. But I'm kind of pleased that they're the priority position. So obviously we've got Cunha done. That's been officially announced. And Mbeumo, we're in negotiation with. I'm going to go through all the updates on him next. And then a striker, really interesting talk about the striker. Again, I'm going to go through centre midfielder and a goalkeeper. I'm happy with that. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Now, let's go through the Mbeumo latest. So, Fabrizio Romano said Bryan Mbeumo is waiting for Manchester United as a priority. Thomas Frank is close to Spurs, so we will see what happens if he joins. But Mbeumo, at the moment, is waiting to see what happens with United. So Romano dismissing the story that we dismissed yesterday from the Mirror, suggesting that maybe Mbeumo would want to join Thomas Frank at Tottenham. Rudy Galetti, though, said that talks for Mbeumo are still ongoing. Brentford are trying to secure a few million more than the last figure discussed, slightly above £60 million, raising the fee closer to 65 million with bonuses. So according to Rudy Galetti, Brentford are trying to get a little bit more money out of United, closer to 65 million, which is above the 60 million that it's believed that we've kind of offered, or we're close to kind of getting that agreement done. So we'll need to kind of wait and see how that, or what kind of happens there. Sully Talks, though, who's a good source, said that Bryan Mbeumo's priority and number one choice still is and always has been Manchester United. Up to the clubs now to strike a deal as talks ongoing. And then this has just come out from Sky saying that Manchester United are expected to go back in with an improved offer for Brentford forward Bryan Mbeumo after having their first bid rejected, and remain optimistic a deal can be struck. There are reports suggesting Thomas Frank will try to tempt Mbeumo to go to Tottenham if he takes over as the new head coach. However, it is understood the player wants to join United. So that came from Sky Sports, and Seth, who's a good kind of source as well. So, we are where we are in terms of Mbeumo. It's encouraging to hear, though, that he is still wanting us, because even though the stories were, kind of dismissed, and we spoke about that in yesterday's video, and you shared your thoughts in the comments as well, about the Tottenham link, but it's still concerning when the deal is dragging on a bit. And also if Brentford do start asking for more money, where is the cut-off that we might walk away? Because Ben Jacobs was saying that we might walk away if, or from deals if teams are asking for too much money. I'm still optimistic, though, that this deal can get over the line. But until it's announced and we get the here we go, there is always a slight concern with these deals, not going through. Look at what happened with Giovanni Kenda, for example. But, all signs and all kind of sources are he wants United, and we're just in that kind of negotiation phase as well. So, but it is a little bit concerning that it's not quite gone ahead, but we just need to be patient. They're doing their thing. Hopefully we'll get a conclusion shortly. But the transfer window shuts tomorrow, I think it is, and then for a week, and then it reopens again. Absolute insanity. But it doesn't matter whether it closes. We don't need to get this deal done by tomorrow we can still work on the negotiations. It just won't be officially announced until the new kind of window opens. Or in fact, we can agree a deal and not sign him or not announce him officially, until July. But as long as we get that kind of here we go, then I'd feel a lot more comfortable. But give us your thoughts and opinions on the Mbeumo latest in the comments. Now, after that, obviously going back to the Guardian story, once we get Mbeumo hopefully over the line, striker, next priority, that's widely documented as well. Now, the main striker, the top target, the main one that we are heavily linked with at the moment is Victor Gyokeres, and those stories are not going anywhere. So, in fact, they're getting, in terms of there not being any smoke without fire, there seems to be a lot of fire and a lot of smoke regarding Victor Gyokeres. So Manchester United had more contact with all parties involved in Gyokeres' deal this week to understand how the situation was developing. They remained in the race. Romano also said that United's ability to afford Gyokeres hinges on financial factors, including potential exits of Garnacho, Rashford and Sancho, with more departures possible. Despite challenges, interest in Gyokeres remains strong. And then Romano also said the money United would have got with Champions League football was likely going to facilitate a deal for him, but the Europa League final killed said possibility. Now, that's really interesting from Romano. So just to kind of summarize, saying that we are in contact with all parties involved in Gyokeres. So that would be obviously the player, the player's agent, I'm assuming Sporting as well, because they are involved in the deal. We need to do a deal with them on a price and structured payments and all of that stuff, which is really encouraging. Obviously, that's why I was saying before, there is no smoke without fire regarding it. But then also interesting that he said that the money that we would have got from Champions League would have maybe meant that we could have got this deal done quicker, because now we're potentially relying on sales or at least squad space. We need to create the space in the squad potentially to go for Victor Gyokeres, as much as we might need the funds in order to do it. But that's really kind of interesting as well, that apparently he would come so us not getting Champions League football hasn't deterred Victor Gyokeres from potentially wanting to come as well, which is really interesting, because I keep thinking back to the interview Amram did when he was like, we don't want to sign players who only want to come here for Champions League. And the more it plays out, the more I'm thinking he was on about Liam Delap. Because if Gyokeres is happy to come without Champions League football, it can't have been a dig at him. And who's the player that we wanted and didn't get because of no Champions League football? Liam Delap. And I think that kind of comment that he made, that everyone was assuming at the time might have been towards Victor Gyokeres, I think actually the more I'm looking at it was a dig towards Liam Delap. But that's really interesting from Romano, that we are technically in contact with Sporting and Victor Gyokeres about potentially a deal. And we've also had, though Santi was saying, that Al Hilal have activated interest in Victor Gyokeres. This is because Victor Osimhen has actually now turned down Al Hilal after turning them down, going back in with negotiations with them, and now turning them down again as well. So apparently Al Hilal have turned their attention to Victor Gyokeres as a Osimhen alternative. However, Meccano reported on Sunday evening that Al Hilal had officially activated their interest in 27-year-old Gyokeres, who is said to be central to the club's ambitious list of transfer targets. But it was only a few hours later when L'Equipe and Ebola revealed the Sporting striker had responded to the Al Hilal interest quickly with a firm rejection and his desire to continue to play in Europe. So I've read that in a report via United District, to a good aggregator account. Go check them out. Suggesting that Gyokeres is already dismissed and already turned down Al Hilal, which is insane for them, isn't it? Fernandez, Osimhen and Gyokeres turning them down. I think Teo Hernandez has turned them down as well. So they keep getting rejected by a lot of players, even though they're throwing a lot of money around at these sort of players as well. But also Victor Gyokeres, no interest in going to the Saudi Pro League, wants to stay in Europe. Obviously we're in talks or had contacts or in the kind of conversation regarding his, we were aware of his situation. And I think if like, let's say PSG, for example, went in for Gyokeres because they apparently are interested, that might accelerate us making a move. But at the minute, I think we're working on Mbeumo, knowing full well that we're cool with the Gyokeres situation, but then are ready to make a move either through exits, or if another club come in, then we might have to move quick. In which case, I think they're kind of getting prepared and ready to kind of do that. And then Sky also said the same, that Manchester United have made an initial approach for Victor Gyokeres through intermediaries. United are exploring the conditions of a potential deal. Ruben Amorim is a big admirer of Gyokeres, having managed him at Sporting. So again, Sky Sports now saying that we've made an initial approach through intermediaries to Victor Gyokeres, so through agencies and stuff, to work out the kind of potential, of a deal, wages, bonuses, interest from other clubs, all of that stuff as well. And this is a player that I would absolutely love to see in a Man United shirt. And it's starting to get really interested with the news regarding Gyokeres, because there is no smoke without fire, and there is a lot of kind of talk linking us with Victor Gyokeres. See, the Saudi clubs have come in, he's rejected them, so that would suggest that he's not in it for the financial rewards as well. If he turns down that sort of money, there is a bit of a reality bite, I suppose, with the European football. Not that he doesn't want to come because of no Champions League, but because of the money, which is a bit of a reality bite, I think, because if we had the money available, maybe we would have already made this move, which does kind of, kick us in the teeth and highlight one of the issues that we will have this transfer window with not getting Champions League football. But, I just hope we get some deals kind of done and get it done quick as well. But I'm quietly confident about this one, I've got to be honest. And I hate saying that out loud because I really want Victor Gyokeres. And until I see him in a shirt, I am going to be very skeptical, because I can't see, it just wouldn't make sense for United to be this competent and aggressive in the transfer window. To go out and get Matheus Cunha, Mbeumo and Gyokeres is one hell of an upgrade of our attack when we need goals in the team. To go out and get, some of the best players that are available in order to do that would be insane to me, which is why I'm kind of still a little bit reserved, because I do want him. And all roads are kind of maybe suggesting that it's looking plausible at the moment. So, but I'd love your opinions. Get involved in the comments, as I'm sure you will. Let me know what you think on Victor Gyokeres. Do you think he's going to come, but going off of the reports, or are you, like me, still reserving a little bit of judgment? Or would you like somebody else? Give us your shouts below. Now, in terms of alternatives, Victor Osimhen mentioned him there. So this came out from a Turkish journalist. I don't know the credibility personally, but it was reposted by some aggregator accounts saying that there is currently interest in Victor Osimhen from Galatasaray, as well as Manchester United and Juventus. Now, this is because, as I mentioned, he's now rejected Al Hilal's proposal. I think that is final, because by all accounts, Al Hilal have started to go for Victor Gyokeres and players like that as well. Romano did say that Galatasaray will insist to sign him with the race now open again. And obviously with the race being open again, I'm going to probably start having to do daily Victor Osimhen news stories again until something kind of happens with this situation. Ben Jacobs, interestingly though, is saying that Galatasaray is still trying to sign Osimhen permanently and Juventus remain in the race. PSG also in the market for another striker and agreed terms with Osimhen 12 months ago, but couldn't strike a deal with Napoli. Victor Gyokeres, another name appreciated, so that's worrying that if PSG are in the market for a striker, hopefully they might go for Osimhen, but if not, if they're interested in Gyokeres as well, that's going to be interesting to see if they do come in for him, what his preference would be in that situation. And then Ben Jacobs also said that Premier League clubs felt they couldn't match the package Osimhen was looking for, including Chelsea, who tried last summer, but with Saudi off the table, Osimhen is now going to assess all options and take his time. And it's the same thing though with Osimhen. Again, another player I'd absolutely love to see in a United shirt, but I think that kind of keeps the door open for a possible move to United. Interesting that he's turned down money though to go to Saudi, because the narrative around him has always been that he wants money. So I think we can kind of put that to bed. I don't think he's prepared to take a pay cut though, and that's always been the issue with Osimhen is for United to get him, or Premier League clubs to get him, we're going to have to pay him around £350,000 a week, and we're in a position where we want to reduce our wage bill. So that doesn't necessarily fit with that kind of narrative. But, there was a story last week with Matt Hargreaves going to Napoli and potentially discussing a swap deal involving Osimhen and Hojlund. And while I would kind of see it, I can't see United breaking the wage structure. But if they did, I'd be cool with them potentially breaking the wage structure and going for someone like Victor Osimhen. But, we'll have to kind of keep an eye on it and wait and see how it kind of plays out. But give us your thoughts and feelings on the Osimhen story in the comments below, as I'm sure you will. Now let's move on to some other news. So Manchester United confirmed that in discussions with Tom Heaton regarding a new contract. So that came from the United official website. There was reports, and I brought you before, that there were rumours that Tom Heaton would potentially be offered a new 1 year kind of contract extension. He's homegrown. He's a good leader around the place as well. And if we're in a position where we potentially want to make a goalkeeper change, I think having some stability there behind the scenes just makes sense, and it's not like he's going to cost a bomb or anything like that as well. Good professional. He's a third choice goalkeeper. I don't really care whether we offer him another 1 year contract or not, because he does tick a lot of boxes. It solves a lot of issues that we'd otherwise have to go scrambling for, like homegrown player and a third choice goalkeeper when you potentially need another number one goalkeeper. So I have no issues with Tom Heaton potentially getting like another contract extension as well. And then Manchester United and Manchester City, both of whom are also interested in Donnarumma, are also interested in Lille shot stopper Lucas Chevalier. Now that came from Get French Football News. Decent French outlet as well. Obviously, I brought you the news yesterday on Donnarumma. Apparently, City are potentially interested in Donnarumma as well. There is reports that PSG might be going for Chevalier, which is one of the reasons why maybe the Donnarumma stories have come out. He is on an absolute wedge, though. Some of you were right in the comments. I think he's on about 200. I think it's £205,000 a week. Not including bonuses, but it goes up to like nearly £300,000 a week, including bonuses as well, which is insane. He's a good age, though, 26-year-old. Could be an agent story, though, with him being out of contract in 2026. That's one kind of concern. Could be putting stories out there to try and get PSG to offer him a new contract, give him an extended deal as well. That would definitely break the wage structure, though, that Ineos are trying to do. And obviously, if City are in the race, are we going to beat City in a race for transfers with the position that we're in compared to their position as well? In terms of Donnarumma, Lucas Chevalier would be a good shout, though, as well. I think he's a really good young up-and-coming goalkeeper as well. Very good, modern type goalkeeper. He's been linked with us a few times before. I think the fee was around 25 to 30 million, which is probably about what we're looking, like the max we're looking to spend on a goalkeeper. So that's one to definitely pay attention to. I'll keep bringing you any updates as well, but give us your shouts on that. It's another, and obviously going back to the Guardian story that I brought to you first, goalkeeper looks like it is potentially going to be a priority position as well. And I would definitely not say no to Donnarumma. I would definitely not say no to Chevalier as well, which and it's just a personal choice. And we'll need to see how it kind of plays out as well. But interesting names. I still think the heaviest linked name in terms of goalkeeper, though, is Martinez. Emi Martinez from Villa seems to be the one. But we'll bring you any updates as they come out, but give us your shouts on that in the comments. Now, another player we've been linked with is Ndika. So Tottenham and Manchester United have made inquiries about Evan Ndika, price around 40 million euros. That came from Fabrice Hawkins. I'm not entirely convinced by this, though. I mean, Fabrice Hawkins is a good source of information. Maybe that's an agent linking us with United because Tottenham are interested in him. That couldn't be ruled out as well. Left-footed, so would be a player maybe to play on the left side of the kind of centre-halves. Not a particular player that I've watched a ton of. Doesn't look particularly outstanding in his stats either. Does look a good ball-playing defender, so he's got good ball playing ability to play out from the back, but not particularly outstanding defensively. Not entirely convinced by this one. I'm going to say take it with a pinch of salt for now, because it kind of feels like, one, the reports are we're not necessarily looking to strengthen the defense. We've got Martinez coming back, Aiden Heaven to play there, Lenny Yoro can play there, dare I say Luke Shaw can play there as well, because it doesn't look like there's any links with him leaving the club anytime soon. I don't necessarily see that as a priority position. If you're going to look at a defender, I'd be looking at a central centre-half personally, because, De Ligt's got had injury problems at the end of the season, and Maguire's in the last year of his contract, so I would be looking for someone to play in the centre of the three, because you've got Mazraoui and Yoro that can play on the right. Just mentioned the players there that can play on the left, so I'm not entirely convinced another left-footed defender would be a priority to United. I'd be either a right footer or someone that can play centrally, personally. But give us your thoughts on Ndika. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Now let's go through some exit talks. So Alejandro Garnacho is close to leaving Manchester United with a preference to remain in the Premier League. Chelsea lead the race to sign him, followed by Arsenal. Though that came from a very good South American journalist as well. So that's one to kind of pay attention to, that Chelsea lead in the race to sign him. Apparently they're in discussions with Jamie Gittins for that side of the pitch, but I don't know what the current situation is there, whether or not they've had a bid rejected. See Chelsea on a spending spree as well ahead of the Club World Cup Interest in Arsenal, though, as well, because if you remember Romano saying before that there are 3 Premier League clubs interested in him, and it now looks like Arsenal, Chelsea and Villa, I would say, were those 3, because they're the 3 teams that have been linked with him, which would make sense. So that's really kind of interesting to throw Arsenal in the mix there. What he actually said was 2 or 3 clubs have inquired about Garnacho. I'm sorry, the 2 to 3 clubs that have inquired about Garnacho are Chelsea and Arsenal. Garnacho has a preference to stay in the Premier League, so we'll need to see how that kind of plays out as well. I'm not particularly... it's one of these, isn't it, with Garnacho? We've discussed it plenty. We know he's being sold. We just need to get the right deal and the best value for money that we can get, especially if we are selling in the Premier League clubs as well. Like, we should not be doing any low discounted deals for Garnacho if we're selling him to rivals, i.e. Chelsea and Arsenal. No chance. But that is what it is. We are where we are. That could be then free up the funds if we do get some movement with Arsenal or Chelsea to get the money in to then potentially get the Gyokeres deal and a few others over the line, because it's homegrown profit and we can do a lot with that kind of money as well. So we'll need to see how that kind of plays out. I would say, he's the closest player that's being linked with exits out of all the ones that we're going to run through as well. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Another player we're going to go through in terms of exits. So the Muppeters said that Manchester United would probably accept a loan plus obligation at around 30 to 35 million for Rasmus Hojlund. The Gazette have also said that Manchester United want an initial loan deal plus an obligation to buy for around 45 million euros for Rasmus Hojlund. He has expressed an openness to return to Serie A. So again, that's one to kind of pay attention to. Loads of noise regarding Inter and Hojlund. Potentially a loan option or an obligation to buy, so that we can, obviously get rid of him to create the space in the squad to bring in another striker potentially, but then also for next year in terms of PSR as well. So to kind of push that problem down the line, that then does give us some funds to kind of spend. But we just need to keep an eye on that one as well. Again, that one's looking plausible at the moment as well. And then the final player that we've mentioned before about looking to go is Sancho. So Dortmund have asked to be kept up to date with development on Jadon Sancho future. They are one of the clubs interested. So Dortmund, again, there's a love affair, isn't there, with Jadon Sancho and Borussia Dortmund. So that doesn't surprise me that potentially they would be linked coming back to him. Obviously, we just mentioned there Jamie Gittins potentially going to Chelsea would give them the funds, but would they have the money for his wages? Could it be another loan where we pay a lot of his wages or some of his wages, and then it's just a mess, isn't it, the Jadon Sancho situation? I can see Sancho just running his contract down. That's my biggest fear with Jadon Sancho is he runs his contract down, ends up leaving on a free transfer, and we're stuck paying him his wages for the length of the contract, is where I can kind of see that scenario playing out, and I just hope we can do anything to avoid that. There was rumours of maybe the Saudi Pro League. I mean, Al Hilal, they're throwing money around and they want kind of forwards and bits as well. Maybe that could be a potential option, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. Give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.